Pennsylvania League of Angling Youth, Winter 2019. Water flows through Pennsylvania. Produced by the Bureau of Outreach, Education, and Marketing. Written by D. Fisher, Central Regional Outreach and Education Coordinator, and Adam Spangler, South Central Region Education Specialist. Editor, Spring Gearhart. Design and illustrations, Andrea Feeney, and the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection and Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission Archives. Read by Walt Dietz. Water flows through Pennsylvania. Water is all around you. It is the ground under your feet. It flows by you in creeks. Water is in the sky, inside of trees, and coming out of a garden hose. When it rains, water on the ground travels to the ocean. The water stays within separate regions of land as it flows. Each region of land carries the water to new bodies of water, called watersheds. They can also be called drainage basins. The invisible line that divides one watershed from the next is called a watershed divide. Rain that falls on one side of the watershed divide will drain into a stream in one watershed. Rain falling on the other side will drain into a different watershed. A river basin is a land area that is made up of many watersheds that are drained by a river. There are 6 river basins in Pennsylvania. We call them the major watersheds. Pennsylvania watersheds include Erie, Ohio, Genesee, Potomac, Susquehanna, and Delaware. Pennsylvania's biggest watershed. In the middle of Pennsylvania, there is a wide river. The state capital of Harrisburg sits on this river. Did you know the name of this river? It is the Susquehanna River. The land around the Susquehanna River makes up the Susquehanna watershed. This major watershed begins in New York. It runs through the center of Pennsylvania and ends up in Maryland. Of the 6 major watersheds in Pennsylvania, there are 3 large ones and 3 smaller ones. The Susquehanna watershed is the biggest watershed in Pennsylvania. To find out the size of each major watershed, look at the Pennsylvania Water Resources box below. The Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission was formed in 1866 to help protect the fish in the Susquehanna River. Today, PFBC protects and conserves aquatic species throughout Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania Water Resources Box. Major watersheds. Erie Watershed, 511 square miles within Pennsylvania. Ohio Watershed, 15,614 square miles within Pennsylvania. Genesee Watershed, 94 square miles within Pennsylvania. Susquehanna Watershed, 27,510 square miles within Pennsylvania. Potomac Watershed, 1,584 square miles within Pennsylvania. Delaware Watershed, 6,422 square miles within Pennsylvania. Miles of rivers and streams, approximately 86,000 miles. Number of lakes, reservoirs, and ponds, approximately 4,000. Estuaries, harbors, and bays, including Delaware and Presque Isle, 23 square miles. Freshwater wetlands, approximately 404,000 acres. Amount of groundwater, approximately 80 trillion gallons. The water in the city of Pittsburgh. In western Pennsylvania, there are 2 rivers that flow into Pittsburgh and 1 river that flows out. Do you know the names of these rivers? The Allegheny and Monongahela rivers flow into the city. The Ohio River flows out. The land around these rivers makes up the Ohio Watershed. The Ohio Watershed leads water through the western part of Pennsylvania. It is the second largest major watershed in Pennsylvania. It carries water to the Mississippi River. Then it travels to the Gulf of Mexico, where the Gulf Stream carries it to the Atlantic Ocean. When you visit Pittsburgh, travel over the many bridges and you will see the rivers. You may also see some commercial boats. Many cities are built on big rivers because these rivers are a great resource. Rivers provide water, food, and transportation. Pennsylvania's eastern border is a river. Pennsylvania's third largest major watershed had the same name as the river that is our eastern border. The city of Philadelphia sits on this river. Do you know its name? It is the Delaware River. This river is also used for a lot of commercial ships. Visit the Philadelphia waterfront and you may see big ships and tugboats. The Delaware watershed is called the tidal basin due to tidal flows from the Atlantic Ocean, but not all parts of the watershed are influenced by the tide. Pennsylvania shares the Delaware River with 4 other nearby states: Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey, and New York. The river is home to many fish, including migratory fish that swim up from the ocean. We must all do our best to keep rivers clean and protected. Most famous of the 3 smaller watersheds. The state of Maryland has a big river called the Potomac River. Do you know where this river goes? It goes to Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. Pennsylvania has a small part of the Potomac watershed. It is in the lower south central part of Pennsylvania. Water flow through Washington, D.C. starts its journey here. The 2 smallest watersheds in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania borders a big lake in the northwest part of the state. It is one of the Great Lakes. Do you know this lake's name? It is Lake Erie. The city of Erie sits along this lake and is in the Erie watershed. The water from this major watershed flows from Lake Erie over Niagara Falls. Then it goes down the St. Lawrence River and out to the Atlantic Ocean. The last major watershed in Pennsylvania just touches the north central part of the state. It is the part of the start of the Genesee River. Can you guess its name? It is the Genesee Watershed. This watershed is in the northern part of Potter County, and water starts its trip in Pennsylvania and flows up into New York State. It then flows into Lake Ontario and ends up in the Atlantic Ocean. Keep your watersheds clean. Polluting our watersheds will eventually pollute the water somewhere else. If we keep our water clean, it will help our friends downstream. What are easy ways to help keep watersheds clean? Clean up and do not leave trash behind. Reduce, reuse, and recycle plastic, metal, and paper. Do not flush chemicals and medicines down the drain. Healthy water equals healthy fish, which equals healthy people. Clean watersheds and clean water. Let's review. Now is the chance to show that what you know about watersheds. Have your family and friends do the following activities with you. 6 major watersheds of Pennsylvania. Look through this issue of play to find the names of the 6 watersheds that are in Pennsylvania. Write the name of the major watershed next to the numbers in the red circles on the image below. Hint, the names are in bold. The second activity, keep your watersheds clean. On the lines below, list some ways you and your friends and family can help keep watersheds clean.